let's get warm. We're gonna start with a 200-meter run, 30 seconds out, 30 seconds back, followed by a set of bench drills. Find something to hold on to. 10 swings front to back, 10 swings left to right, and 10 donkey kickbacks. Once you're done one leg, switch to the other. Continuing into the warm-up, we have 2 rounds of the following. We are gonna get started with 20 line jumps, front and back of a line, 20 reps. Then we're gonna go lateral sideways, 20 reps. From there, we have 5 tempo good morning. So with our feet inside our shoulders, bringing the hips back 3 seconds to the down. 1, 2, 3. 1 second means we're gonna completely stop our movement. 3 seconds up, 1, 2, 3. 1 second, completely stop our movement. 5 reps of that, followed by 5 squats with a thoracic rotation. So, feet are in our squat stance. We're gonna get to the bottom of our squat. From there, I'm gonna pin one knee. I'm gonna rotate my chest towards the opposite leg and switch. That would be 1. I've got 4 more to complete. From there, we're gonna move into 10 plank, downward dog, toe tap. So, from this position of the plank, I want my shoulders slightly in front of my fingertips. I'm gonna push through the ground, reach opposite hand, opposite foot. My hand returns, I'm gonna rock back in front of my fingertips, and I'm gonna alternate until I complete a 10. Next, you need something that you can step onto. Something that can hold you, support you. Chair, cooler, a box. We have 10 alternating step ups. Put the foot on, step all the way up, all the way down, and then switch other leg until you've done 10 total. From there, now, some of you guys have pull-up stations, fantastic. Some of us do not. So if you have a pull-up station, this is a really great time to hop on your bar and give me hollow arch swings, followed by 5 pull-ups. For those of you who don't, hang tight. If we don't have a pull-up bar, we can use a towel modification that is seen. For those that don't have a pull-up bar, we can use the towel in the door modification, or we can grab a dumbbell, barbell, whatever you have, and we are gonna do 5 bent over rows. I'm gonna show with the dumbbell, singular, I'm gonna hinge, pull, and return. If I had a barbell, I would do 10 total. 2 rounds of the warm-up. Before we get into the next 12 minutes of continuous work, I need you guys to mark off 20 seconds of distance walking out. That 20 seconds out will be right around 20 seconds back, and that's what we need for the first part of this. On top of that, we need 2 weighted items. So I have 2 different options here to show y'all. I have a pair of dumbbells and then my odd objects. So the first thing on the menu is the Philly carry. So when we have a Philly carry in place, we're gonna need 2 objects. I'm gonna show with the dumbbells. I'm gonna bring the dumbbells to the front rack, and then I'm gonna bring one overhead. Now I'm gonna keep the dumbbell that's down at the shoulders in front of me. If this was a kettlebell, it'd be very similar. It'd be on the front half of my body. And I'm going to walk the 20 seconds. Before we get started with our 12 minutes of continuous movement, we need to mark something for our walk today. We are gonna walk 20 seconds out, and that is your marker. That's where we're gonna be walking for the carry that we have. Down to that marker and then back. You're also gonna need some equipment. You need something with weight. I've got a pair of dumbbells, and then I've got 2 odd objects to demo with. So the first thing that we have is that carry, or walking with weight. So I'm gonna show with the dumbbells. It's a Philly carry, so I'm gonna bring it to the front rack. I'm gonna leave one in the front rack and one overhead. So I'm gonna walk to my marker, and when I get to my marker, I'm simply going to bring the one that was up back down, and the one that was down back up for my return. Now what we're looking for is a few things. The body's gonna have to use core to extremity, because our extremities are away. We're gonna have to balance with the shoulder We've got a lot of time under tension. So with that being said, we want the weight that's by the shoulder in the front half of that frontal plane. Our frontal plane is if we're cut in half this way. This is where we want the weight. So if I use my odd object, now these are different weights. My backpack is lighter, so I'm gonna put the backpack constantly overhead, but my bottle of vinegar weighs a little bit more, so I'm gonna keep that in the front rack. So what that looks like is from the front rack on the front half of my body and overhead, I would walk till I got to my marker. Once I got to my marker, I would switch. The backpack would go in the opposite hand, the vinegar would go in the opposite hand, and I would walk back. That's gonna be the start to every round during this 12 minutes. Now, during this 12 minutes, I say rounds, but we're looking for quality. We're looking for good, solid movement versus how fast can you do everything. Let's save that for the next part. Next up, you're gonna need a weighted item. Now I'm gonna use that dumbbell I had, and I'm going to do 5 push presses, single arm. So the bell is gonna sit on me. My feet need to be in a good stance, which is gonna be widthwise inside my shoulders. I'm gonna have one knee bend because it's a push press, dip, drive, press. Let's look at that again. It's legs that open, hips, and finally our arms. Once we knock out 5, we're gonna switch 5 to the other side. Now, if you're rocking the backpack and you're like, well, this isn't very heavy, I'm not as challenged as I could be, then that's where you, the athlete, makes the decision. Maybe you, the athlete, need to rock 10 of these instead of the 5. We're looking for good movement, not how much weight we can do today. Then we're gonna finish each round within the 12 minutes with 5 side plank rotations. So, for the side plank, I'm gonna line myself up, foot to hip to elbow. From here, I am going to make sure that I'm as in line as possible, pushing my hips forward, reaching up towards the sky. My other hand flat on the ground with that elbow directly underneath the shoulder. Rotate like I'm hugging and come back open. Modify it, no problem. Bring the knee down, hold, still hips forward, hug and back. We'll do 5 on the right, 5 on the left, and we're just gonna get good movement in for 12 minutes. All right, y'all, time to finish the day. Every 3 minutes for 15 minutes, we have the following. In a 3-minute window, you will complete 1 rep scheme of 6 deadlifts, 9 pull-ups, and 12 box jumps. Once you've completed 6, 9, 12, you get the rest of the time to rest. Our goal is for you guys to accomplish this within 2 minutes or less, so you have at minimum 1 minute of rest. We have 5 rounds of that. So let's start with the 6 deadlifts. Those using a barbell, remember that the most efficient lifting of deadlift is when it's the closest to the frontal plane, meaning that bar needs to be moving straight up and down the middle of the foot, right where that shoelace knot is. So when we get set up, we want to make sure we're flexed in the back. We've created tension. And when we push through the ground, there's no change in that tension. Stand all the way up. Keep that stern position, back down, no loss of tension through the 6. Now, those of us who don't have a barbell and might need to be using a dumbbell or a kettlebell, that's cool. If you have 2 of them, we're gonna turn this into a suitcase. So with my dumbbells, they will both start flat on the ground. My feet in, I'm gonna grab, stand, same rules apply. This time I'm only gonna touch one side of the dumbbell to the midfoot, back up. Now, if you only have one, let's turn this into a single arm. Same thing can be done with an odd object. If your odd object or your kettlebell or dumbbell is a little too heavy, that is the time where you can say, let's do a sumo deadlift. So let's bring the vinegar back out for that. Wide stance, Midfoot, stand, and back down. Sure is good for something. Next up, we have 9 pull-ups. So, end goal for the pull-up, straight arm, chin, over, straight arm. Now you don't have a pull-up bar, join the club. Got a pair of dumbbells, and what we can do are 9 bent over rows. So I'm gonna use my pair, bent over just like in the warm-up, pulling. Could I do one at a time? Yes. Will I have to improvise? Yes. Don't sweat the small stuff. Use the vinegar, adapt. Last, to finish off the round, you have 12 box jumps. So our goal is to jump on top of something that's gonna support us. 2 feet from the jump, 2 feet to the land, standing to show completion before we come back down. No box, no problem, tuck jumps. 2 foot, knees up, 12 reps. Remember, you have 5 rounds of that. Once you finish 6, 9, 12, you get to rest the remainder of the 3 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Mondays with Megan. Time for me to ride out into the sunset.